Black and Powerful is brought to you by the Black McDonald's Operators Association.
From Chicago's South Side to Washington, D.C., a Major General in the U.S. Army, commanding general of the D.C. National Guard during the Capitol riots. And now, the first Black American serving as Sergeant at Arms, protecting Congress and the President of the United States. Our guest, Major General William Walker. Black and Powerful. First off, General, I want you to know that outside of my duties as a sports announcer, this is a profound pleasure for me to be talking with you because I have so much respect for our military, but in particular, so much respect for our African-American men who are of flag rank. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for sitting down with me and having this chat. What does it mean to be black and powerful?
Well, I can tell you what it means to be black. I don't know if I'm really powerful, but it's a unique experience being an African-American. A lot of firsts. As you know, I'm the first African-American sergeant at arms in our nation's history. Since 1789, I'm the 38th person to have that position. So that's what it means to be black. I'm a retired DEA special agent. Mm-hmm. The Drug Enforcement Administration, I was the only African-American special agent in my class. So as far as being powerful, maybe that'll come.
Well, power sometimes comes with titles, and you certainly have achieved them over the decades. And Sergeant at Arms, a lot of people really don't have a working knowledge of exactly what that is. They think it's just the person who walks the president into the Capitol for his address. But it is more encompassing than that. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure, it's a comprehensive position. So the Sergeant at Arms is responsible for security and safety of the house side of the complex. I'm also, on rotating years, responsible to the U.S. Capitol Police Board as the chair. The police board is made up of the Senate Sergeant at Arms, a retired three-star General Karen Gibson, and the architect of the Capitol, a retired Navy captain, Brett Blanton, the chief of police, Tom Manger, and myself. But the two Sergeant at Arms rotate the position of being chair for the police board. It's a comprehensive position where the security of the members, the federal employees that support the Capitol, we are responsible for their security clearances, and we're responsible for the safety and security of the members and their staff. We want you to have a safe and secure experience in the citadel of democracy.
So let's start with the good aspect of it. What was it like, I believe it was in April, when the doors opened to the Capitol, you came out and you said, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. What was that like for you, not only as a sergeant of arms, but as the first African-American to do so?
Yeah, so it was like watching a movie. I really had a heart. I knew it was me. I knew I was doing it. I knew I was actually walking the President of the United States down the aisle, and I was announcing to the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Madam Speaker,
the President of the United States.
Just an amazing range of emotions, really difficult to bundle and express to you. Actually, when the president arrived, the motorcade arrived, I'd stand at the foot of the staircase and said, welcome to the United States, welcome back to the United States Capitol, Mr. President.
Wow.
And that was just amazing to do that. And we did the bump, and then I said, Mr. President, will you follow me? And he followed me. Mm-hmm. And it was just an amazing experience, a day I'll never forget.
After he gave his speech and he was walking back out, it looked like the two of you had a little private conversation. What was that all about?
So there was a cadence that you're supposed to keep. And he just grabbed me by the arm and told me these are his friends, he's gonna talk to them. And I said, yes, Mr. President. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what he did.
He also, when he grabbed your arm, he was like kind of shocked a little bit, because you're a very fit man. And he paid you a compliment.
He did. So you have well-placed sources, because I don't know if many people heard that, but he did. He did. He grabbed me by the arm and he said, you have, what did he call it? But he talked about my arms.
Yeah.
It's just, I said push-ups, Mr. President, push-ups.
I love it. The aspect of January the 6th, for which you were, I believe you were the head of the DC National Guard.
I was.
At that time. Could you walk us through that whole experience, not only what physically happened that day, but what also was going on in your mind and your thought process about this terrible assault on our democracy?
So, as all Americans, I was disappointed to be an eyewitness to, and I got to be careful here because I was the commanding general, and I'm not sure if I may be called back to provide testimony. But what I saw alarmed me, and I was glad that the DC National Guard, the men and women of the DC National Guard, were able to come help restore order and support the Capitol Police, the Park Police, the Uniform Division of the Secret Service, and all the other federal law enforcement agencies who responded that fateful day.
There's also a period in there where you had made a request for, I believe, some more troops, and it took almost 4 hours, well, 3 hours and 19, 3 hours and 20 minutes to get that. Could you walk us through that whole sequence and how it went down? I believe you gave some testimony on Capitol Hill regarding that.
I did provide testimony. What happened, Mr. Rose, is so I requested to respond to the Capitol at the request of the Chief of the United States Capitol Police, Chief Steve Son. He called me at 1:49 and explained to me that he needed every available guardsman to respond to the Capitol and to assist the United States Capitol Police because the Capitol was in jeopardy of being breached. So I forwarded that request to the senior leadership of the United States Army and requested permission to support the Capitol Police.
As a flag officer, is it tough sometimes because you're an American citizen? You pay taxes, you get to vote, but from my experience in the military, we can never voice our displeasure with the way democracy works from time to time. How tough is that to straddle that line of political, military, civilian?
Well, it's not difficult when you think about the oath that officers take, and it's to the Constitution. It's not to, as General Milley is fond of saying, it's not to a king or a queen. It's a foundational document that we support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So when you're grounded in the knowledge that we are in support of the Constitution, that we're protecting the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, it's not as difficult as you might imagine.
You served in Afghanistan and Kabul, and can you tell us what that was like, and also what you thought of the way we exited on August 31st?
So I served with U.S. Forces, Afghanistan, U.S. 4A, in 2011 to 2012, and I was actually dual-hatted. So I was there for the Center for Army Lessons Learned.
Okay.
I was the Lessons Learned Chief, and I reported to Fort Leavenworth, the Center for Army Lessons Learned. And I was dual-hatted working in the embassy. So I would start my day at ISAF headquarters, the International Security Assistance Force headquarters in Kabul. And then I would go under the tunnel to the embassy and spend several hours there and then walk back. And at the embassy, I worked for an ambassador, and his portfolio was the drawdown of U.S. forces in Afghanistan was part of his portfolio. And regarding my thinking on the withdrawal, so the benefit and comfort that everybody has of hindsight, could things have been done differently? Well, I think we all would agree that things could be done differently. But we have a commander-in-chief, and it was decided that we would withdraw, and in the military we follow orders.
Right. Are there any military people that you sort of looked up to, maybe used some of the tactics that they used to navigate for your career?
Well, I studied military leaders. I studied George Marshall, who wrote the Marshall Plan. He was Secretary of State. He was Secretary of Defense. I personally know General Ward. I personally know General Vi. I personally know General Farrell. These are people that I admire and look up to, and Lieutenant General Twitty, Lieutenant General Bingham, who I think was the second African-American woman to reach 3 stars, Lieutenant General Najia West, a surgeon. She might have been the first 3-star African-American woman. And I know them, and some of them have reached out to me when you talk about helping somebody. Hey, General Walker, congratulations on your promotion. Here's my card, come see me, and let me help you through this. And I took that gracious offer and accepted it. So yes, you have to have these people in your life to help you navigate and reach success.
What was it like to be the head of the DC National Guard during the situation with George Floyd, the protests and things of that nature?
So I'm an African American, I'm black. George Floyd could have been me. But I believe Americans have the right to assemble peacefully, exercise their First Amendment privileges, but they have to do so in an orderly fashion. So part of that response, when order had to be restored, the District of Columbia National Guard, it's a foundational mission for the National Guard to civil unrest, civil disorder, civil disobedience. It's what the National Guard has done for pretty much its existence. So we got the call and we came out. We're always in support though, that's the crucible. The National Guard supports civil authorities. So the customer, in this case, at the Ellipse was the United States Secret Service, and at the parks was the United States Capitol Police, and in the city, the Metropolitan Police Department. Those were the customers that we were responding to, and we were in direct support of them.
We're here at St. Sabina, where you spent many a day in one of these classrooms here, learning the pathway towards life. What's it like to be back here at St. Sabina, and what happened here that put you on the path that you are on today?
Amazing nuns here at St. Sabina Catholic Grammar School. It is really an honor and privilege to be back, to walk around this amazing academy. So it all starts with education. It's the foundation that you continue to build on, and the tools that I acquired here, how to learn, how to read, write, express myself, and acquire additional knowledge. And when I walked in, I remember the library was on the left, and I used to spend a lot of time in the library, and I have a thing for learning. And it was I probably was born with it, but it was really developed right here at St. Sabina Academy. Just remarkable nuns and priests as well. When I get back to Chicago, it's infrequent, but when I do, I try to make it to Mass. But I haven't been in the school in quite a while, but I have been back to Mass.
How important was and is your Catholic faith to you?
Hugely important. I mean, so Catholics, we believe, well, we have a lot of beliefs. Some of them are third rails, but so I pray every day, try to make it to church as often as possible. I pray several times a day, and it helped me. It really helped me when I was with the DEA. It was a group of us, and we were all Catholics, and we would go to church every morning in New York, and then we'd go out and do the government's work, protect it. So being a Catholic well, I didn't have any choice. I was born Catholic. I was baptized Catholic, but I like it. I'm proud of being a Catholic.
It's a great foundation.
Yes, it is. And it's taught me not just the discipline and the structure that this place used to provide, and I know it doesn't provide it that way anymore, but being a Catholic is hugely important to me.
Part of your career was in the DEA. Could you take us down that road, how you became a member of the DEA, a leader in the DEA, and perhaps how the thought process of maybe 15, 20 years ago of lock up all the criminals has changed to today's landscape that we're in right now?
And so, as a young boy going to St. Sabina, instead of doing homework, I was watch The Untouchables.
Oh.
These were men of character. Mm-hmm. They were courageous. They were committed.
Eliot Ness.
Eliot Ness and The Untouchables. Federal Bureau of, they were part of the Treasury, the miscellaneous division of the Internal Revenue Service. Mm-hmm. I was fascinated with them. Mm. They always got their men at the end of the show, and they were men of unimpeachable character. And that's why they were untouchables. You couldn't touch them. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, it's 1973, President Nixon creates the Drug Enforcement Administration. And I truly saw that as danger, excitement, and adventure, DEA. That's how I interpret it. And I caught a bus, went to the federal building, picked up a brochure on DEA, and was committed to becoming a DEA special agent right then and right there. And I would go and visit DEA Chicago and talk to them about when they're hiring, and they told me what I needed to do. And it allowed me to focus. I was in and out of the University of Illinois in 4 years, and then received a master's degree from Chicago State. And I was called, interviewed, and went through the background and became a DEA special agent right here in Chicago. To get after your question about locking up people, it was my experience that no one makes more arrests than the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. We're a global organization, and we are really leaning forward in this challenge, this drug challenge, especially with the pharmaceuticals that are out there. Very, very dangerous. One pill can kill. DEA has a drug flow attack strategy. That's why they're all over the world. And I really enjoyed the work. And for most of my career, I truly believed if we arrested enough people, and the right people, we could turn the tide. I believe now we have to have a balance of education, and we have to have drug demand reduction policies and programs and strict enforcement. So working together with education, drug demand reduction, and strict enforcement, we can have progress.
Does legislation play any part in that?
Well, I believe it does. So how are schools resourced? So it all starts right here at actually preschool, and then your foundation is right here in grammar school, high school, what you're taught, and how you're taught. But at the same time, legislation has to be that when you break the law, there are consequences. And so racketeering, influence, corrupt organizations, RICO statutes, a criminal can be sentenced to life imprisonment, continual criminal enterprise, CCE. They all come with the possibility of life imprisonment. Hopefully, that takes serious, dangerous people off the streets, and it also serves as a warning to others that this is not where you want to go. You want to take another path.
How do you use your vast skills as an investigator to also shape how you are as the sergeant at arms in the House of Representatives, and how it helps the security aspect so that, and I believe I'm quoting you correctly, what happened on January 6th will never happen again?
It won't. The people we have in place now, we look at events around the Capitol and we apply a worst case scenario to providing security. We have scenario-driven plans. We do tabletop exercises. We do rehearsals of concept, and we try to get the intelligence right. Who's coming? How are they predisposed? What are they bringing? How many? Where? So we go through this intel sequence, and then we make sure we have the right resources to secure the Capitol complex.
And also from your vast experience, we have a foreign element that, for whatever reasons they have, don't want to see us succeed. How much do you think they learned from what happened on that day, that if some, and a very few, amount of citizens of the United States of America can do that, and they watched it play out live and in color on television across the world, they look at that and perhaps maybe think about elevating what they want to do to us to a different level. Is that a fair assessment, maybe an intelligence assessment that has happened with groups like, I'll just say, Al-Qaeda and some of the other ones that exist?
Well, don't want to put too much bravado into it, but we'll frustrate them. Mm-hmm. They'll be disappointed. So we do an after-action report every time we have an event. I'm sure that others are doing after-action reports, what they did right, what they could have done better. Well, we've done that as well. Mm-hmm. But we have the resources that I don't think anyone has the same resources of the United States government, especially when we have a whole government approach. Mm-hmm. There is nobody that wants to see January 6th occur again.
So when you say whole government approach, you're talking about the FBI, the CIA, the National Security Agency, all of the Homeland Security, all of them tied together so that nothing slips through the cracks.
It's collaboration, cooperation, synchronization. Mm-hmm. Everybody that has an interest or concern, we're rowing together to make sure it doesn't happen again.
How much better are we militarily than we were, say, at the end of World War II?
Well, we're a completely different military. I mean, the power of diversity, mm-hmm. With President Truman ordering the end of discrimination in all white units.
And desegregating the Army.
Desegregating the Army. You just have that diversity of thought, diversity of experience, diversity of looking at things. So we're just stronger.
I'm thinking you, as you made your way through the military, were you just after Vietnam?
No, I actually joined. I received the draft. I had to register for the draft, and then the draft was ended. Okay. But I always wanted to be in the Army. It was just my timing. So there was a collision between DEA mm-hmm. and the Army, and the National Guard and the Army Reserve, which I spent a little bit of time in as well, mm-hmm. allowed me to do both, to realize both pursuits, both dreams, to be a federal agent with DEA and to be an Army officer.
Wow. What do you foresee for yourself after being Sergeant at Arms?
Back to education. So I was in a PhD program at Benedictine Catholic University, and because of all that was going on, it was a weekend program. So 1 weekend a month, we would come to Chicago, Lau, Illinois, and a very intense program. Mm-hmm. So with the demands of the inauguration and then the summer of 2020, I was not able to juggle both. So I had to withdraw from the program. But I do plan to finish it whenever my service is, as the Sergeant at Arms is over. And then we'll see what happens. But retirement is not all it's cracked up to be.
That's true. One last question for you. In your experience, you've seen what has happened to us as African-American men. Part of it is institutional. I absolutely believe that. The other part is on the aspect or the person who is being afflicted by this, meaning African-American men. How do you see our path? Is there any advice that you can give to our young African-American men so that they don't become the problem, but perhaps become the solution?
I would recommend that African-American men, and actually everyone, learn discipline, learn to hold yourself accountable, learn to be intentional, learn to be focused, have objectives, goals. Everything created is created twice. It's first created in the mind. Have a vision on where you want to be, and don't let anyone or anything stop you. Just this relentless, dogged pursuit of the objective. And that's what worked for me, and I think it will work for anyone who, I'll just tell you, when you have this goal, And for me, it was easy because I knew I wanted to be a special agent of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. I knew I wanted to be an Army officer. So then I was able to put everything that I did to focus on that. And I would question myself at night, have you done everything you plan to do? I've inventory the goals and the progress I had made. And if I had made progress and if I had achieved the objectives that I had set for that day, I slept soundly. If I didn't, I tossed and turned and asked myself, why didn't I stay focused? Why didn't I exercise the discipline? Why did I not deny myself what I needed to deny myself? Why did I do this versus that? So my advice to young people, particularly African Americans, because it's different for us, that we have to try harder, we have to work smarter, we have to get up earlier, we have to be prepared, and we have to be ready for opportunities that may present itself. So that's another thing that, and what we need are people who will volunteer their time and attention to young people. So my great fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, we do a lot of that. But people need a coach in their life, they need a mentor, and they need a sponsor. And I had all three in the Army and all three in DEA. People I could call and say, hey, this is the situation I'm facing. And the coach would just tell me, the coach would just talk to me. It was one way. The mentor, it was two way. We would have a dialogue and the sponsor would speak for me. And I know for a fact, especially in DEA, I had an advocate in the room at the table when a decision was being made. And this sponsor of mine said, let me tell you about Special Agent Walker. I know what he's done, I've watched him. Same thing in the Army, that sponsor. So what we need to do is identify coaches, mentors, sponsors, advocates that will help us, because there are no self-made men or women. You need help along this incredible journey of life. So that's what I would recommend. Take yourself serious, wake up with a purpose, have a vision, goals, objectives, learn to be disciplined and methodical about what you're doing, relentless in your pursuit. Just do not be denied. Invincible determination.
General Walker, thank you so much.
Mr.
It
Rose.
has been a pleasure, sir.
That's my initials.
Wow.
38th Sergeant at Arms, U.S. House of Representatives. So this is how we, do it in the Army.
Thank you.
Coin. Yep.